and it does something amazing. Okay, so it goes into more detailed information about reflectors and how they work. Make sure you review that. But I would like to go ahead and skip over to the lenses real quick. It goes into a little bit of history about when glass lenses were invented, and it talks about the principle of refraction. The one thing that I really want to focus on is the actual, there it is right there. Okay, so what you see right here are two different types of lenses. You have your plano and you have your convex lens. And with these, you have a curved side and you have a flat side. Let me see here. The lenses, yeah, here we go. Meaning that they're flat on one side and curved on the other. And what happens is the curvature of the lens affects the amount of how much it bends. So if we look at this picture over here, when a light source goes through something like water, it bends, or a clear object like glass, it bends. And so that's how stage lighting instruments are able to focus light and control and harness light and make it bend at its will, whatever, at your own will. You just actually were able to control it. Now, there's another picture. There it is right here. Okay, so this is an example of how the light beams work inside of an ellipsoidal. So if the lamp is sitting inside of it, all the light sources are going to bounce out, but then they're going to shoot out and they're going to come to a certain point, and that's how you actually get to shoot a beam of light. Now let's talk about a Fresnel. A Fresnel, this is the lens right here, and what it is, it's actually that same plano convex lens but has been etched out. These were first created for lighthouses, big massive ones, and then they put them in the stage so they can control it. The one thing that you need to know about Fresnel lenses is that they have soft edges, right? I like to call Fresnels not spotlights but wash lights, because you can actually blend lights in together. So if you have what we call area lighting, what we mentioned earlier with Stanley McCandless, where you have one area here with a light coming this way and this way, another area right next to it, another area right next to it. You don't want to have harsh beams of light. You want to have the edges soft, right? So they can blend into the other ones. So that means that, or to the other area next to it. So that means that whenever somebody or an actor is walking across stage, you don't have those harsh beams of light cutting into somebody's face. If you're on stage and you close your eyes and you walk and you have a shadow and it's bright and a shadow and it's bright, that's a good sign that it's not focused properly, because you shouldn't have those shadows, and it should look natural. If you have area lighting, you should have two areas up that look like one area, or three areas up that look like one area, or all the areas up that looks like one big area without all those individual lines of shadows of your light. Here, let me go to the next one. Okay, so what we have here are some PAR lenses. Now, a PAR can is probably what you're going to run across a lot in entertainment technology, concert lighting. It's just throwing lights up there. To me, it's just like a car headlight that you just put in the back of a can and just shoot lights forward. And here you see different types of diffusion of those lenses that are on a PAR lamp. So what you have here is you have a lamp and then you have a lens on top of it, so it's one unit. It's not separate. Whereas in a Fresnel and ellipsoidal, the lenses are different than the lamp itself. So here it is kind of like a floodlight, which you would put in your backyard or something. So when criminals show up, it turns on. They're kind of conical shaped. But what you see here, I'm pointing at the screen like you can see it. What you see here is different types of diffusion. You have your wide diffusion, which means it will actually shoot it out even more, kind of like a Fresnel lens. You have your medium, your narrow, and your very narrow, where you can actually control the beam of light. And if you look here is an example of a 36-degree PAR lens as opposed to a 70-degree. And whenever we talk about ellipsoidals, you can get ellipsoidals depending on the location of the lenses in relationship to the lamp, you're going to be able to control the beam of light. So usually the lower the degree, the tighter the beam of light, because it has to do with the angle that it's coming out of the beam or out of the barrel. So if you have a 5 degree, it's going to be a really tight, small throw, whereas if you have a 26 degree, it could cover, half the stage, depending on where it's located, the distance from it. So when I work in arena, I usually work with the lower degrees, because the lights are so far away, but yet whenever they come to the stage, they look pretty wide. But if you try to throw a 26 degree up at the top of an arena, it's going to be diffused and you're not going to even see it by the time it hits the stage floor. So, all right. So we're going to talk about the Fresnel. I don't want to go into it. There's a video I want to show you in this presentation. But we did speak about the Fresnels. What's unique, if I have to say there's one thing unique that you need to know about the Fresnel, is its lens. Okay, it's called a step lens, and it diffuses the light. Some of them have on the back of the lens have like they're sandpapered down to diffuse them even more, to make them softer, the light softer. But with these type of lights, they kind of have the soft edges, right? Okay. And then of course there's the ellipsoidal reflector spotlight. And this one right here, as you can tell, there's the ellipsoidal reflector, and the lamp is sitting directly in it. And then of course you have your lenses that can be anywhere within this barrel. If it's a smaller degree, it's going to extend further out and the barrel is going to be a lot bigger. But this one, you're going to have your harsher edges. You can focus it and unfocus it. You can add things to it like gobos. You can add things to it like an iris. You have the capability, as you can tell here, that has shutters on them to where you can actually square off. And in class, I'll be able to show you that even more. But there's also the video that I want you to watch too as well. But right here is an iris. An iris controls the amount, the circle of light that the beam shoots through. So if you want to have a small beam or you want to have a wider beam, you can control it with an iris. It's kind of like one of those James Bond things that kind of opens and closes. And then of course here it talks about the different degrees, not degrees is 5 and 10 degree are the really smaller ones. With those, they're going to be specialty lenses that are outside of the actual lighting fixture, so they're going to be really longer, whereas your 26, your 36, your 19 degrees, which is not on here, your 50 degrees, they're all going to be within this barrel right here, this part right here. They're going to all be within that barrel. And then right here, oh, this is a great picture of the angle of degrees. Remember I said earlier that the smaller the degree, the tighter the beam. So if you look at it right here, you have your 5 degrees all the way up to 36 degrees. And depending on where you are, let's say you're in a small black box theater, you want to have a wide throw, but your ceiling's only 10 feet, you're going to want a wider degree. You're going to want to try to get as wide as you possibly can. Whereas if you're in an arena and you're far, your lighting instrument is completely far away from the stage, you're going to want those tighter ones. So by the time it hits the stage, it's the size you want it to be. Another thing you need to keep in mind is the intensity of the lamp itself. Okay, so what do I mean by that, the intensity of the light itself? I like to compare it to paint.